So we are just under 1 month from the reveal of the Lightfall expansion, and everybody is really wondering what the expansion is going to be about. The theory from the very start when they first announced it has always been that the Traveler is going to be destroyed or defeated in some way, shape, or form, or just leave the system entirely to try to escape the Black Fleet. Now, I do not think that is the case, and the reason for that is because I believe Bungie has actually teased or pretty much told us what the general plot of Lightfall is going to be directly in the Vow of the Disciple raid. Now, I do want to say that this entire theory that I'm about to lay out here is technically spinfoil. There's always going to be a bit of spinfoil to it. Destiny has historically been a very hard game to predict the next expansion of, because in the past they've been so all over the place with just jumping from plot point to plot point without any real order. But lately, with the fact that they've been going with a more consistent story, I think it is fairly reasonable that somebody could actually predict the plot of the next expansion. Now, in this case, the way we do it is by looking at the symbols in the Vow of the Disciple raid. There's 27 symbols in the raid, and something that I noticed very early on is a lot of them tend to be fairly matching with each other, right? A lot of them seem to work in pairs. Now, maybe that's 2 or 3, maybe that's 4, but a lot of them seem to work in pairs. And what I mean by this is, for instance, we have the dark and the light, or the cosmic forces of the universe that are sort of battling each other. We have the symbols of different factions, right? Savathun and the Scorn. We have locations like the Black Garden, the Earth, Tower, the Ascendant Plane. We have the 2 main species that are battling over the light right now, the Hive and the Guardians. We have the Traveler and the Pyramid and the Fleets. I don't think I really had to explain that one. You're starting to get the point, right? Love and grief, heart and brain. Basically, a lot of these symbols tend to pair up. Now, this is not a 100% consistent theory, because there are some symbols like stop where I just simply don't know what exactly you could pair with, but almost every single one of these symbols does pair with something. Now the question is, what does the witness pair with? Now ultimately, my guess for this, after examining all the symbols for a while, is that the witness is paired with worship. Now, there are a few reasons why I think this is the case. First off, you can see that the witness symbol has a triangle in the background, whereas the worship symbol has a couple circles in the background. Right? You can see the white circle behind the head, and you can also see the blue circle behind the white circle. Right? Triangles obviously are a symbol of the dark, and circles are a symbol of the light. This has been a symbolic thing in the game since its inception. The second reason is because they are both fairly, humanoid, but not completely human figures, right? The witness is obviously a silhouette of the witness. We've actually seen him in game. Now with worship, you can see that it kind of has the same sort of wide, squared shoulders with like a long sort of curling out dress type garb on it, similar to what the witness has. Now there are other symbols in the raid that are humanoid figures, like Drink, Grieve, and Guardian. Now the reasons why I don't think they have any sort of correlation to the witness symbol is because Guardian is obviously Guardian, right? They're obviously like that's its own thing. We understand that very well. Drink shows the silhouette holding both the triangle and the circle, meaning that it is supposed to resemble something in between. What that is exactly, I don't know. Initially, I thought it was related to maybe the Cabal because the chalice, but I honestly don't know what this symbol is related to, and it quite honestly doesn't really matter for this. And when it comes to Grieve, as we've already stated, it is pairing up with love, which was further harkened in on with Season of the Haunted and the Severance missions. So what exactly does it mean when I say that worship is related to the witness symbol? Now, the witness is the sort of voice behind the darkness. We know that the dark is not necessarily used for bad, and that the light is not necessarily used for good. We've seen that with Beyond Light, we've seen that with the Witch Queen, we've seen that with the lore for The Last Word and Thorn. Light does not equal good, darkness not equal bad. It depends on how you use it. They are all just tools at the end of the day, and that is ultimately what the story of the game has been moving towards. But the reason that the dark is typically considered to be used for bad is because you have the witness, being the voice for the darkness, leading the charge of using the dark for evil to create the final shape of the universe, which is when one species is left at the end of everything and they are the only thing left. They are the final shape. That is essentially what that means. So if the dark is not inherently bad, but instead there is a being behind it forcing things to use it for bad, then what makes us think that the light is just inherently good, when again we've seen it used for bad? Surely there must be some sort of being, some sort of entity behind the light driving those who wield it to do quote-unquote good. And that's what I think the worship symbol is ultimately teasing, is essentially the equivalent of the witness for the light. Now, this theory is sort of backed up by a few trends that the series has kind of had, right? So, the Traveler and the light that it provides has always been sort of treated by characters in-game the same way as we would treat gods in our modern human religions in the real world. Right? People have sort of prayed to the Traveler and looked up to it like it is God. So showing the symbol as worship wouldn't really be too far off course, because humans and even the Fallen do worship the Traveler. When you think of the Fallen in their culture, most houses sort of worship machines because of the Traveler. They call it their machine god, and they build the servitors to resemble the Traveler. That's why the servitors are spherical machines, because it's meant to resemble their Traveler. The Fallen have spent centuries chasing the Traveler down through our solar system and trying to take it from us. That's why we're fighting them in the first place, right? You have a lot of this sort of godly religious worship going on with the Traveler and the light it provides. Ultimately meaning that the worship symbol would fit with the thing controlling the Traveler very, very well. You know, on top of this, we've also always sort of thought that the pyramids were what was controlling the darkness. That was before we learned that the witness was actually the one commanding the pyramids. And there's more than one pyramid, there's a whole fleet of them, which is known now as the Dark Fleet. Now, in the lore for the game, there has been for a long time theory that there are multiple Travelers, and I think we've even gotten confirmation in very early Destiny lore that there was at least at some point more than one Traveler type object, which would make sense, including there's more than one pyramid ship. Which begs the question, who is it that is controlling the fleet of Travelers? Where are the other Travelers? I know this is all over the place, so I'm hoping you guys are actually, keeping up with all this, because I'm about to bring it all together now. So, basically, what I am saying is the worship symbol is the first tease we have at the sort of light witness. The light version of the witness, the guy, the voice behind the light. Just like the witness is the voice behind the dark, whoever is in the worship symbol is the voice behind the light. And I think that that is where Lightfall is going to take place. Because again, people always thought when Lightfall was revealed that it meant that the light was going to be destroyed in some way, the Traveler was going to get defeated by the darkness, and or it was going to evacuate our system in some way, leaving us to fend for ourselves. And I don't think that's the case, because one, they're not just going to get rid of all of our light subclasses, and if the Traveler left the solar system, I don't think we'd be able to keep our light subclasses. They just spent all this time reworking them. Why would they get rid of them? It wouldn't make sense for the game. People would hate it, and it's just not going to happen, right? So the Traveler's going to stay. The Traveler's not going to be defeated, which leaves the only other option. And that's that Lightfall doesn't mean that light is going to fall. When you think of the word Nightfall, it doesn't mean that night got defeated, that night got destroyed, that night's never going to come back again. Nightfall simply means the onset of night, that night has engulfed everything, essentially. It has enveloped everything. That is what Nightfall is. So you can take that in the opposite sense with Lightfall and say that Lightfall is about the envelopment of light, the onset of light, light enveloping everything, essentially. And what better way to do that than by finally revealing the voice behind the light? We've been talked to by the light in multiple cases. If you look back to the missions in Forsaken, where we got our middle tree subclasses, we were being talked to by a voice sort of behind the light in that sense. We have been given visions on multiple occasions, similar to the beginning of the Red War campaign, after we fell off a Gaul ship, by some entity behind the light. And what I think Lightfall is going to be about is that we are finally going to be able to see that actual being, that entity, that thing that has been speaking to us through the light, that has been giving us these visions, that is commanding the traveler or the travelers wherever they may be in the solar system, and we are finally going to see true Lightfall. And that is what Lightfall is going to be about. Is going to be about the two voices behind the cosmic forces of the universe coming head to head and battling it out. Now, I don't think we are going to defeat the Witness in Lightfall. I think that is going to be saved for the final shape. I think the final shape is when the Witness is going to be defeated in some sense, because I just don't think it makes a whole lot of sense for the Witness to be defeated, the big bad, the biggest bad in the solar system, to be defeated before the saga is over. So that, I think, is going to be saved, but we are going to see some sort of major clash between the Witness of the Light and the Witness of the Dark, whatever the Light Witness is called. We're going to see some sort of major clash between those two entities during Lightfall. I can almost guarantee it. I would be heavily surprised if that is not what happens during Lightfall. And that is even backed up further by the fact that at the end of the teaser trailer for the reveal date of the expansion, you can see the Traveler glowing. Which, oh boy, the Traveler's glowing. It hasn't done that before. It has, but very rarely, you know? It's not common for the Traveler to just glow like that. Whenever the Traveler glows like that, it signifies something very important, right? The defeat of Gaul, when it bursted out of its cage and reawakened, or when it fended off from the initial, part of the Black Fleet that came and took some of the planets from our solar system, right? These are the only two times we've seen it actually emit light in any way. So the fact that it is emitting light at the very end to tease Lightfall, that is very important, and only further proves the point that it is not the fall of light, but the literal, coming of it. It is sort of the oxymoron definition of it, where it is not actually falling, but instead enveloping everything. Now, some people might ask, why is it that if the light has some sort of entity behind it similar to the Witness, that we have never seen this being? And, that's a good question, but here's the thing. What better time for that being to show themselves than when the being of the opposite army pops up on their doorstep? At the end of the day, we have sort of been playing as pawns in this giant cosmic war this whole time that has lasted way before us, and the Traveler has, screwed over and left behind many a species before us as well. Just because we need the light to live does not mean that the thing providing the light is inherently good. So it is not without reason that the being behind the light wouldn't want to necessarily show itself and reveal the whole cosmic war that has been going on, because then we would realize that it is only a matter of time, and we would begin to question ourselves and not necessarily fight for the sake of the Traveler, which is exactly what has been happening recently, because in the end of the Witch Queen campaign, or at least towards the end before the final mission, you can hear Ikora say that we are fighting for the last city, insinuating that we are no longer fighting for the will of the Traveler, but for the will of ourselves, and just using the light that the Traveler provides as a tool to do so. So this being, this entity behind the light that speaks for it, has absolutely nothing to hide anymore, and is probably going to be just completely forced out of hiding, be it inside the Traveler or wherever it is, I don't really know. because of the fact that the witness is basically showing up on his doorstep and saying, hey, hi, I'm here, wanna fight? But yeah, to summarize it all up, I truly believe that the main point in Lightfall is to finally reveal the equivalent of the witness for the light and see those two entities, those two voices behind their own cosmic powers, finally come head to head for the first time in really, millennia at this point. Now, once again, I would like to say that this is all spin foil. Obviously, there is nothing absolutely confirmed, and there is a very decent chance that, on the 23rd, when Lightfall is revealed, that I will be absolutely completely wrong, and, at that point, I can be yelled at vigorously by a lot of people if a lot of people end up seeing this, because, I know that'll happen eventually. Even if Lightfall isn't revealed yet, and people think I'm dumb, they're still gonna say I'm dumb, and maybe I am dumb. I don't know if I'm dumb. I'm just fucking rambling at this point. But yeah, hopefully this was easy to keep up with in some extent. I don't do scripts for videos. I just cannot bring myself to sit there and look at a script while talking into a mic. I feel like I'm going crazy when I do that. I feel like I'm going crazy just right now. This is not something I'm used to doing, just speaking into a mic, staring at an Audacity window, so hopefully I was able to create something that was at least somewhat partially comprehensible and not just a bunch of idiotic rambling. But like I said, who knows? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure people will either way. If I'm an idiot and you think I'm an idiot, tell me I'm a damn idiot. I'd like to hear why I'm an idiot at least, but, feel free to call me an idiot if you want. I don't know, maybe we can start a chain of me being called an idiot. Let's be honest, sometimes I'm an idiot. But if you think this theory has any sort of grounds whatsoever, press that like button, because it does take a lot of mental energy to ramble like a baboon for this. And with that being said, I'm excited on the 23rd. Maybe I'll make an update with what I got right and what I got wrong, once the expansion's revealed and what I think about where the story is going. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe I would like to get used to these kind of, talking commentary things, because there are a lot of opinions that I have that I would like to get out. But we'll see. Maybe subscribe to see if I end up doing that. Who knows? I'm gonna go now before I go on another tangent. Bye-bye.